Hi, my dear students and my dear subscribers as well as my dear friends. So today's video we are going to discuss about the previously asked questions on RCC, that is on the chapter design of beams. Right? Already we have completed 5 class on previous year questions on RCC. If you are the first visitor, if you didn't see our last videos, please click on the I button so that you will get the all the videos in our playlist. We have make already playlist. Please visit there. You will get all the details as well as the video. Okay. So let's begin with today's first class. Right. First question. Before going to that, these are our social media platforms. You can join, and I am very active on the Telegram channel as well as on the Facebook. Right, if you are a regular user of these social medias, you can join and you can take the benefit of if you want any type of um, you want help, I will make for all of you. So this is a KPSC Civil AJ study point. Search in the Facebook, you will get this one, and this is a Telegram channel, and this is our YouTube channel. Make sure you click on the subscribe button, and please like this video and share to your friends who need this one for the upcoming exam of WRD AE, because this is only WRD AE. This is not only for WRD AE, this is all, it will help for the IDPR, PWD, any exams are upcoming, that is like SSC also, right? So today's first question. The clear distance between the lateral restraints for a simply supported or continuous, okay, 1 minute, continuous beam to ensure lateral stability should not be exceed, right? So what they are asking, the clear distance between the lateral restraint of simply supported continuous beam. Let me show you. According to IS 456 2000 clause 23.3, right, they have two conditions. One is simply supported, right? So this is simply supported one. So right, you can see simply supported, and another one is cantilever. Simply supported or continuous beam shall be proportioned that clear distance between the lateral restraints, right, does not exceed 60 times of b or 250 b square by d, whichever is less. Now you can see in the sketch, this is a simply supported, right? You can see this is a two supports here, you can see, right? This is a two supports, and this is a depth, effective depth, this is breadth, right? You can see. So this is a L1, right? So this is a distance between these 2 points. So where we can say L1, right? L1 should not be more than 60 times of B, and if it should not exceed 250 times of B square by D, whichever is less we have to take. Okay, that value we have to take for simply supported and continuous. Now for cantilever, right, cantilever means one end is fixed and other end is free. We have already done with the our shear force and bending moment diagram in our previous strength of material class. I think you are very familiar about that one. So the cantilever, the clear distance from the free end of the cantilever to the lateral restraint shall not exceed 25 terms of B or 100 B square by D, right? You can see whichever is less here also. This is a L1 and this is B, and this one is a depth. Okay, so L1 is 25 terms of B and 100 B square by D, whichever is less. So in order to answer this question, you have to remember these formulas, this one and this formula. With the condition you have to remember. If they change the question to cantilever, then you can answer easily. So the answer for this question is, that is a D, 60B or 250B square by D, whichever is less. Next question. In a doubly reinforced section, total reinforcement percentage of steel should not exceed how much percentage? Always remember, right? So as per IS 456 clause, see, IS 456, whoever students are not familiar or didn't studied IS 456, please go through the IS 456 clause 26.5.1.1, so that you can understand, not only this one, you can understand other concepts also, as well as the standard results, because in RCC they will give direct questions from the IS 456 only, right? So the maximum tension reinforcement, that is a 0.04 B into D, that is a 4%. Now as per IS 456 clause 26.5.1.2 means next clause, this is 1.1, this is 1.2. So the compression, maximum compression reinforcement again 4%. So total is 8%. Okay, so total reinforcement is 8%, 4% for tension and 4% for what? Compression. So total is 8%. Now W reinforced section, total reinforcement they are asking. So the answer is, question is the 8%. If they ask tensile or compression, then you have to answer the 4%. Next question. A simply supported beam is considered as a deep beam if the ratio of effective span to overall depth is less than, right? What is the effective span to overall depth? Let me write so that you can understand, right? So simply supported, a beam, we can say a beam shall be a deep beam. A deep beam shall be called a deep beam when the ratio of effective what effective effective span to overall depth, effective span to overall depth effective span to overall depth L effective by D is less than the following, is less than. So what are the conditions now? First one, if it is 2, right, effective, we can say L effective divided by D, this is a formula. So 2 for simply supported, 2 for simply supported. Why I am writing the theory part? This is very important, because if I write, you will read that one, right? If you read, you will remember. If you write, you will remember 2 times. That's why always with me, you also write in your short notes. 2 for simply supported, and the second one 2.5 for what? Continuous beam. Continuous beam, right? So the what is the answer for this question now? So they are asking about what? Effective span to overall simply supported. So simply supported is 2. So answer for this question is 2. Okay, are you getting? Simple questions, but you have to remember the concept. The maximum depth of neutral axis for a beam with Fe 4 on 5 bars in limit state method of design, right? So for that you have to remember, so the limiting depth of neutral axis corresponds to balance section. For Fe 250 it is 0.F3D, for Fe 4 on 5 0.48D, for 500 it is 0.46D. Now if they give a new one 550, right, that is 0.44D. And this is a diagram you already know, limiting strain in the this is a for balance failure, right? So this is effective depth, and this is a steel we will provide, and this is a neutral axis, right? So this is a limiting strain in the concrete 0.0035, and this is axial limit. Okay, so the limiting strain in the steel is this one 0.87 Fy by ES plus 0.002, and this is axial limit by D 0.0035, 0.002 plus 0.87 Fy by ES. So this is the formula you have to remember, right? And this is important, because this formula, if they given to calculate using this formula, right, if you want to calculate axial limit, then you have to remember this formula. Next question. An RCC beam can have a maximum tension reinforcement. What is the maximum tension reinforcement? About they are asking the RCC beam. So the maximum area of tension reinforcement shall not be exceed 0.04 B into D. that is the what 4% of the total area, 4% of total area, 4% of total area. The minimum area of tensile reinforcement shall not be less than the given formula, that is a AST divided by B into D equals 0.85 by Fy. AST minimum, right? AST is minimum area of tension reinforcement, B is the breadth of the beam, D is the effective depth of beam, and Fy is the characteristic strength of the reinforcement in Newton per millimeter square. So the answer for this question is what? 4% B into D. Next, question number 6. In a cantilever beam, main reinforcement is provided. Main reinforcement, it is provided where? And in cantilever, always remember it is in reversal load, right? Let me clear you all your concept through this one. So this is a beam, right? If you apply the load P, right? So this is a compression zone, right? This is a load. If you apply it like this, how it will goes down? It will goes down like this, right? So the beam will bend like this. Okay, they are showing here. This is a tension zone, and this is a compression. I have told this is a reversal. The normal case it is compression and this is tension, but in cantilever it is reversal load. In cantilever beam, the tension zone exists above the neutral axis, so the main reinforcement is provided above the neutral axis. You can see this is the tension and this is the compression, right? You can understand easily by the sketch. So the answer for this question is the above the neutral axis, the beam cantilever beam main reinforcement is provided. Next question. If D and N are the effective depth and depth of neutral axis respectively, singly reinforced beam, the lever arm of the beam is what? Right? So they are asking about the lever arm. Let me write. So what do you mean by lever arm? Lever arm. Lever arm is equal to what? It is a distance between okay, the points, distance between the points where what? Compression or compressive force and what? Tensile force, right? Compressive force and tensile force acts. Now let me draw the diagram so that you can understand easily and fast. Right, this one. Now this is a neutral axis, right? So now this one, okay, it will come like this. Okay, so this is what we call it as CA, and this is what? This is NS, or we can say NA. And now where is the lever arm? We can say from this point. So this is the lever arm. This is lever arm. We indicate that lever arm by Z. Okay, and now at this point another force we take, that is a C1 we can say, right? How we can write that one? That one, C1 is equal to B into NA into CA by 2, right? B into, this is NA, this is CA, right? And now what is the depth of this? What is the value of this one? This we can say that is NA by 3. And what is the value of this one? That is a TA by M, right? And here you have provided the reinforcement, you know already this one. This is a B, right? And this one is the effective depth. This is the effective depth up to here, the center of the reinforcement. Okay, so now what they are asking, that is a D and N are effective depth, right? So how can we write the lever arm formula? lever arm equals to, we can say, d minus n a by 3, right? So this is the formula, sorry, this is the formula of lever arm. Okay, so what is the answer? That is a d minus n by 3. Minimum spacing between horizontal parallel reinforcement of different size should not be less than. Next question is, that is a minimum reinforcement of horizontal parallel reinforcement of different sides should not be less than what? One diameter, thickness bar, thinner bar, sum of the diameter, right? What is the answer for this? So for horizontal tension reinforcement in the beam, right, I have put the clear images to understand the concept very clearly, so that you can understand very clearly and you get remember about this one. So this is a shear stirrups, you know, right? So this is a shear stirrups and this is hook, we can say, and this is a main reinforcement, right? This one is a main reinforcement. I think my pen is visible to you. This is a main reinforcement, and this one, the distance between these two they are asking, means this is one reinforcement, right? We have 4 here, so the distance between these 2 points they are asking, that is a maximum of bar diameter, or it should not be maximum of nominal size of aggregate plus 5 mm. Okay, for horizontal tension reinforcement in beam. So the maximum nominal size of aggregate is taken as 20 mm. You know this one. That is for RCC work. We have taken 20 mm. If this is the first condition, if the diameters are like, if the bars are like this, if they arrange like this after design, so how we have to take? See, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 6 bars. So they have told here that the distance between these two, right, this is the effective depth, should not be less than 15 mm or less than 2/3 of maximum nominal size of the aggregate, right? So maximum size of the aggregate and maximum bar diameter. Okay, so the maximum nominal size of aggregate is taken as 20 mm. Okay, so the question for this answer is B, right? 1 diameter of the thickness bar, right? Next question, please all of you read this question. For the deflection of simply supported to be within permissible limits, the ratio of its span to effective depth should not be exceed. Just in previous question only I have explained you. Can you tell me what is the value of that one? Right? As per IS 456, right? IS 456, 2000, clause 23.2.1, that is the vertical deflection limit may generally assumed to be satisfied, that the span to depth ratio, right? So I will write here the basic value of span to depth ratio. Span to depth ratio. Span type, okay, and L by D ratio. Right? Cantilever. So what is the value of cantilever? It is 7. And simply supported, it is 20. For continuous 26. So this is the first important point you have to remember, span to depth ratio. And the second one, if for up to, this is what, for span greater than, span greater than 10 meter. If span is greater than 10 meter and above, 10 meter and above, values are multiplied by what? Values are multiplied with what? 10 divided by span. 10 by span, except for the cantilever, in which case deflection calculation should not be made. That you have to remember. So these important 2 points, right, you have to remember. Okay, so the answer for this question, can you say what is the answer for this question? That is a B is the answer for this question. Next one, question number 10. In a cantilever beam, main reinforcement is provided where? It is above the neutral axis. In the previous question only we have already discussed. Let's go to the next question. A simply supported beam is considered as a deep beam if the ratio of effective span to the overall depth is less than what? Right, this is a repeated question. Again, we have already completed this in just in few seconds back only, right? So what is the answer for this question? A D beam shall be depend on the what? L effective by D, and 2 for what? Simply supported, right? Simply 1 minute, simply supported, and 2.5 for what? Continuous beam. 2.5 for continuous beam. So the answer for this question is, that is a 2. Okay, next question. Maximum spacing of side face reinforcement of beam having depth of web more than 750 mm is what? Let me first understand what is the question. They are asking about the what? Side face reinforcement. Okay, side face reinforcement. Let me discuss. Let me draw. First of all, understand what you mean by, okay, what do you mean by the side face reinforcement? Okay, so this is the beam. If diagram will not come neatly, I am very sorry, because how much it is possible I am drawing very correctly, trying my best. Okay, these are the reinforcement, already you know. And for example, if we provide the reinforcement here also, okay, now they are asking about the side face reinforcement. If we provide, right, the here and here also, right, if we provide the reinforcement here and here, that we these two, right, these two reinforcement we call it as side face reinforcement. When we have to apply this one, right, when we have to use this one as a side face reinforcement, remember always, when the depth, okay, I will write the condition. When the depth, when the depth of web in beam exceeds how much? 750 mm, 750 mm, side face reinforcement shall be provided, right? So side face reinforcement shall be provided, side face reinforcement required. So what is the second point you have to remember? The total area of such reinforcement shall not be less than 0.1%. 0.1% of what? Of web, right? Shall not be less than of 0.1%, right? 0.1% of the web area, and shall be distributed equally, distributed equally on two faces, right? on two faces as a spacing not exceed, and spacing is not exceed, spacing is not exceed 300 mm. Okay, 300 mm or web thickness, whichever is less. So this is a what I can say, this is side reinforcement, side face reinforcement, and this one we can say this is the spacing. So spacing is 300 mm or more than, should not be more than that, or web thickness, right? So what is the answer for this question now? What is the answer for this question now? C, smaller of A and B. Now read this question, right? All of you read please. According to IS 456, side face reinforcement should be provided when the depth of web of a beam exceeds how much? In just 2 minutes back only I have explained you. 750 mm, right? 750 mm is the answer for this question. 750. Remember this one. 750. Next question. According to IS 456, maximum depth of stress block for a balanced section of a beam of effective depth using steel with Fi 250 is given by what? What is the value? What is the value? For they are asking 250. 250 it is 0.53D. For 415, right? What is for 415? In just in here only we have discussed 0.48 and 0.46 and 0.44 for different values. 415, 500, 550. Okay. So the answer for this question is 0.53D. 0.53D. Question 15. Minimum percentage of tension steel in RCC beam for Fe 500 steel is what? Can you say? What is the minimum reinforcement of tension? So according to, okay, 1 minute. I am saying little bit late because I am facing some problem in writing the pen. Okay, don't worry. I will fix it for all of you. Right? You are most inspiration students for me. I will do anything for all of you for the sake of your exams. Okay, don't worry. Now, according to IS 456, IS 456 2000, right? What they are telling? Minimum area of tension reinforcement shall not be less than minimum area of tension reinforcement. Tension reinforcement. This is TR is tension reinforcement. That is the P percentage. P percentage, that is a AS by B into D into 100, right, equal to 0.85 divided by Fy into 100, right, where P is what? P is the what? Percentage of tensile steel, where AS is what? That is the minimum area of tension reinforcement, where B is what? Breadth of the beam or the breadth of the web of a T-beam, or where D, small d, it is effective depth. And what is Fy? It is characteristic strength of the reinforcement in Newton per millimeter square. So now P percent equals what? AS by BD into 100, you know. So AS is 0.85 divided by what? 500, right, into 100. So it is 0.17%. So 0.17% is the answer for this question. Next question. Question number 16. Very important question, all of you. Let's see how many of you answer this question. Right? Bending moment coefficient and shear coefficient for a continuous beam of uniform cross section as per IS 456 table 12 and 13 may be used only when the spans do not differ to the longest span by. For understanding this one, again you have to visit 456 2000 code book, right? Unless more exact estimate are made for beam uniform cross section, right? So which support substantially uniformly distributed load different by more than the 15%, right? More than the 15% of the longest, 15% of the longest. Bending moment and shear force used in the design may be what? Obtained by using the coefficient. See, we are telling that UDL, right, uniformly distributed load, UDL, right, load differ by more than 15%, right, for the longest. Bending moment, now bending moment I am telling, and shear force, okay, bending moment and shear force use, where we have used that may be obtained by what? Using coefficients, right, that is a coefficients. So when we have to use the coefficients, when the bend UDL is variation 15%, then we have to use this one. Okay, let me show you. There is a tabular column, so I will draw for first bending moment coefficient. Okay, I will make this one is separate, so make you don't want to confuse with this one, right? Now first one is the type of load. All of you have to write like this only, and you have to say with me what I am telling, right? So this is a type of load. Next is span movement. Span movement, span movements, right? Sorry, right? Again here also support movement. This is support movement. Support movements. Now in span movement again we have two types. In design, okay, in design I think you already know this one. So design, in span movements we have near middle of end span, near middle of end span, near middle of end span. Next one is at middle of interior span, at middle of what? Interior span. So what is this near middle of end span, at middle of interior span? Please go through your IS 456, right? So they have given the different conditions. For example, if you are designing, right, like these are the different beams or anything, right? So if you consider this panel, right, if you consider this panel, if you consider this panel, so what is the condition of this panel? According to that we have to take the values that they are giving here. Near of end span, middle of interior span, and in support also, at support next to the end support, at support next, okay, at support next to the end support, end support. Last one, that is a at other interior support, at other interior support, right, or at other interior support. So all this depends on the how you are using the values. Okay, sorry I am not able to draw neatly, please adjust with yourself, and I am saying with my words, try to concentrate on my words. 1 2 3, 4 and 5. Right. Now first one, dead load and imposed load, that is the dead load and imposed load. Dead load and imposed load plus 1 by 12. This is plus 1 by 16 and this is minus 1 by 10 and this is minus 1 by 12. Now for imposed load, second one, for imposed load 1 by 10, 1 by 12, minus 1 by 9 and this is also minus 1 by 9. So this tabular column you have to remember, right? So this is already given in IS 456. This is for what? This tabular column is for bending moment coefficient. This is bending moment coefficient. This is bending moment coefficient. Now shear force coefficient. Shear force coefficient. Can you say what is the shear force coefficient? Right? Can you write that one? If anyone remember while designing your different one. So the same type of load at end support, right? At support next to the end support, at support next to the end support. Why I am writing means you have to remember this one, what I am writing, why I am writing. Instead of that I can put the image or I can put the directly the tabular column, but you can't understand that one, right? At all other interior, at all other interior support, at all other interior supports. Okay. Now first one is dead load and imposed load, that is a fixed. Dead load and imposed load, that is a fixed one, we can say. So what is the value for that one? 0.4 at the supports, 0.6. Okay, again here we have to make two columns. One is outer side and one is inner side. Outer side, inner side. Outer side and inner side. So this is a 0.4 value and this is 0.6 and this is 0.55 and this one is 0.5. Second one, imposed load. Imposed load or not fixed. Not fixed. This is what? 0.45, 0.6, sorry, this is 0.45, this is 0.6, this is also 0.6 and this is also 0.6. So this is what? This is shear force coefficient. Shear force coefficient. Now the answer. So what they are asking? Bending moment coefficient and shear force coefficient for continuous beam of uniformly cross section, right? Uniform cross section they are asking now. So what is the answer for this question now? That is a 15%, right? May be used when the spans do not differ the longest span by 15%. This tabular column according to this question is not required, but in future it may ask the question on this one, but the answer we got here only. The question for this answer we got here only, that is a UDL we got the 15%, but span, that is where what they are asking the question, but this one is very important. Next question, question number 17. Minimum percentage of tensile steel in an RCFC beam for Fe 500 steel is what? That is a 0.17, right? That is a 0.17. Next question. As per IS 456, the effective length of cantilever beam shall be taken as effective length. How we will take the effective length, right? Let me draw so that you can understand very easily, and I will do fast, don't worry. Effective span, effective span is equal to what? First one, okay, 1 minute. Effective span is equal to, first one is simply supported. In simply supported, I will draw the diagram so that you can understand very fast. So this is a beam and this is a supports, two supports. So support length we call it as, this is W, this is also W, and this is the effective depth D, and this one is L naught. Okay, now for simply supported beam or slab, for beam or slab I am telling. So what is the value? How we have to calculate? L effective is equal to what? Minimum of the following. First condition, first one, L naught plus effective depth, and second one is what? L naught plus support. This is the support width. W is support width, and we have to take minimum value, right? This is the first condition. And the second one is what? Second condition is continuous beam. For continuous beam, right? So what is the condition in continuous beam? 1 minute, I am not getting again pen problem. Okay, yes, in continuous beam again we have different cases. Case 1, if we have, right, I will draw the diagram here so that you can understand very easily. Okay, so case 1, if width of the support is less than L naught by 12, then how we have to take L effective? This is the first condition. L effective is equal to minimum value of the following. What is the minimum value of the following? In first condition, first one, L naught plus D, right? Second one is L naught plus what? The support, the same what we have taken in the simply supported. It is in the case of L naught by 12. In the case 2, again I will take now case 2 in continuous beam. If width of the support is more than L naught by 12, then how we have to write? Again in that we have different cases, right? Case 2 only we have first one. For one end fixed and other continuous, right? One end fixed and other end what? Other end continuous. Other end is continuous, or both end continuous. We can say both end continuous. If the both end are continuous, how the diagram will come? So this is the diagram we can see. So this is a beam, right? But the support is very different. So this is a first support and this is a continuation part. So this is a second support. So this is a L effective. L naught is equal to L effective. So L effective, and this is a W, right? So L naught or L effective is equal to, formula is L naught or clear span. You have to only take the clear span, right? This is about when the one end fixed, other end is free, or both ends are continuous. Now in the second one, for one end discontinuous, other is continuous. Okay, I will write here, for one end for one end what? Discontinuous and other continuous. Then the diagram will come like this. So this is a continuous, you can say this is a support W, width is W, and this is another support, right? So we call it as this is an L naught, and this is D. Now L effective is equal to, can I write here? Okay, I will do one thing, I will write in the next this here. So L effective of that sketch, right? This one I am writing. So this formula I am writing in the next slide. L effective, okay, L effective is equal to what? That is a minimum of what? Minimum value of the following. So what are the minimum value? First one, L naught plus D by 2, or second one, L naught plus W by 2. What is D? D is here, D is this one, depth. Okay, D is a depth. Now L effective is this one. So in continuous beam we have these two conditions. Case 1 is if support is L naught by 12. If it is more than L naught by 12, again we have two conditions. Total we have two conditions. In again second condition we have two conditions separately, right? Now third one, that is a cantilever beam. First one is simply supported, second one is continuous. Now the third beam is cantilever beam. How we have to write that one? This is a cantilever beam. Okay, so this is a L naught, and this is the D, right? Where cantilever, when cantilever is end or continuous beam, how we have to write? That is a L effective is equal to what? L naught plus D by 2, or we can say that is L effective is equal to L naught plus W by 2. So this is the formula for all the L effective. So these formulas are very important. Please remember this one. So or else you can take this one in your notes, because they are very important. That's why I am writing with my pen. If I done with the normal slides, you can't understand that one. Okay. So remember all this case. Now what is the case they have given? Cantilever beam they have given. What is the cantilever beam? Right. So what is the cantilever beam answer now? That is a clear span plus effective depth by 2. Right. Clear this one, effective span of all the beams. Next question. Question number 19. If the modular ratio M, right, anywhere if you see modular ratio, that is the working stress method. Stress ratio in steel and concrete is R, and then the critical neutral axis constant K is given by what? Critical axis. How we have to calculate? First of all, you have to remember it is what? Working stress method. This is working stress method. They have given modular ratio. So what they are asking? They are asking the critical neutral axis constant K is given by what? Okay. For this, let me first of all draw this sketch. Okay, this is a what? The cross section of the beam, and this is a reinforcement they are providing here, and this is a neutral axis. I will draw neutral axis like this, right, and it will come like this. Okay, now so this is tau CBC, right? Next one is tau ST by M. So this is a value you have to remember. Now this one we call it as, this is XC, and this is at the center. This is what? The depth, effective depth. Now in working stress method they have given x is related to what? Balance section. Okay, I will write here x is related to the balance section, or need not to write, it is not required. Now from similar triangle, those are these two similar triangles. How can we take? That is tau CBC divided by tau ST by m, this one and this one, equal to XC divided by effective depth minus the XC, right? Now given, what is the given actually? 1 minute. What is the given? That is the R equals to what? To ST by tau CBC. So this is a given value. Now m by R, right, small m, is equal to XC divided by D minus XC. Now so R by m equals to D minus X divided by XC. So R by m equals to D divided by XC minus 1. So R by m plus 1 is equal to D by XC. So R plus m divided by m, what will come? D by XC. Okay, now XC by D is equal to what? M divided by R plus m, divided by R plus m, that is equal to what? XC equal to what? K into D. Now so the K equal to what? K is equal to m divided by R plus m. So where what? D is what? Effective depth. This is effective depth. And m is what? Modular ratio. And XC is what? XC is nothing but critical neutral axis. This is critical neutral axis. Tau CBC. What is the permissible stress in concrete? Permissible stress in concrete. Now tau ST is, permissible stress in steel. Permissible stress in the steel. Okay, now you have understood what is the value of this, importance of writing the different explanation with the pen. If you understand this one, you can easily answer this question. So now what is the answer for this question? How many of you comment me what is the answer? That is the B is the answer for this question. M divided by M plus R. Okay, next question, question number 20. Okay, minimum I will do 25 questions, don't worry. Side force reinforcement shall be provided in the reinforcement concrete beam when depth of the beam in the beam exceeds 750 mm. Next question, spacing of stirrups in rectangular beam is what? Spacing of stirrups in rectangular beam. Spacing of stirrups in rectangular beam what? Question number 21. Spacing of beams, we can say, as in the beam shear force is maximum at supports, we can say. See, at here the support WL by 2 is a maximum. Shear force is maximum. You can see here also. So we have two supports. In these supports we have maximum shear force. But right, so the value of nominal shear stress tau is decreases towards the center of the supports. Here you can see that is a tau value, that is a nominal shear stress is maximum at supports and minimum at the center. By seeing the sketch you can easily understand. Thus requirement of the shear reinforcement is minimum at the center. Here it is minimum required at this point, but here you required maximum. Hence we can increase the spacing of shear reinforcement at the center. Means okay, I think Okay. In the right, have you understood this one? Okay, in the next question again we have the same question, so I will explain you correctly with the sketch. Increase at the center of the span. Why you have to increase? Please see here, shear force diagram you have to remember whenever you want to provide the steel, that is a shear reinforcement. Next question, spacing of stirrups in rectangular beam is, spacing of stirrups in rectangular beam is where? Increase at the ends, kept constant, or what? Or decrease towards the center of the, increase towards the center of the beam. First of all, understand for this. Okay, I will write here. We will see this sketch later. First of all, understand stirrups is provided to what? Stirrups is provided to resist the shear stresses developed in the beam. Stirrups is to resist what? Shear stresses. Shear stresses developed in the beam. Develop in beam. Right. So the second point is, if it is rectangular or simply supported, or then the shear force from the end towards center, so there is an increase in the spacing. Now you can see this sketch here at the support, right? There is maximum. In previous question we already discussed. So high value of shear force near support. So high value of shear force near support, low value of shear force. So how we have to provide the reinforcement, that is the stirrups? You can see only for a particular this distance. For this distance the spacing is what? Very close spacing. At the bottom you can see close spacing of stirrups. From here to here, again from here to here, the shear force value is very less. So increase the spacing means the spacing is increase here. Again the spacing is decreased at the what? Supports. This is a very important point you have to remember. By seeing the sketch you can easily understand this one. Okay. So now what is the answer for this question? Question number 22. Increase towards the center of the span. Next question. Question number 23. In a singly reinforced beam, if the stress in concrete reaches its allowable limit earlier than the steel reaches its permissible limit, the beam section is called it as, what is the beam section? We call it as, that is an over reinforced beam. Right. Next question. Question number 24. A T-beam behaves as a rectangular beam of width equals to its flange if its neutral axis is what? Neutral axis is what? Or falls within the flange, falls below the flange. This question is very important because this is a repeated question in all the exams, right? So in RCC what we have to do, that is the strength of the concrete located below the neutral axis in tension zone. It is not taken into account. It is assumed that all tension is taken by steel only. Okay. When neutral axis is lies in the flange, the portion of concrete below neutral axis is not effective. Let me draw the diagram so that you can understand easily. This is a T-beam. Okay. Right. So and here you can see the reinforcement will be provided at the bottom, and this is the effective depth. This is the effective depth, and this is the what? Depth of the flange, and we can say the here. Okay, this is a, we can say, neutral axis I am saying, and this is XU. This is XU, and this is the breadth of the flange. Okay, so that is the breadth of the flange. We can say this is an AST, area of tension steel. So after analyzing and design, what we can say? Rectangular beam of width, right? Rectangular beam, that is a width of the flange, and depth D, right? That is a effective depth. Compression force in flange, we can write, I can write here, compression force in flange. Compression force in flange is equal to tensile force is equal to tensile force where? Force in reinforcement. Tensile force in reinforcement. How to write this one? 0.36 FCK, right? XU into BF, breadth of the flange. This is a compression force. This is a compression force. Now what is the tension force? 0.87 Fy by AST, right? 0.36 FCK XU BF 0.87 Fy by AST. Okay, so now what is the answer for the given question, right? So T beam behaves as a rectangular beam of width equals to its flange if its neutral axis falls within the flange. Within the flange, we can say that one. Next question. The thickness of the flange of T beam of a ribbed slab is assumed as, right? So ribbed slab means what? So what is the meaning of ribbed slab? Let me clear the ribbed slab sketch. You can see here. So this is a ribbed slab, means it is like this. Okay, if any slab constructed like this, I think you have already seen practically, right? So ribbed slab, what? Ribbed and baffle slab provided a lighter and what? You can see here, provided a lighter and a stiffer slab than an equivalent flat slab, reducing the extent of foundation, means we can reduce the load, provided where the slab vibration is an issue, such as laboratories and hospitals, right? Where the vibration is more due to the equipments provided in the hospitals or any laboratories. In that condition, we have to use the ribbed slab, right? Benefit of ribbed slab. Benefit of ribbed slab, that is flexible, right? Relative light, therefore less foundation cost and saving material. Excellent vibration control, speed of the construction. So what is the disadvantage? What is the disadvantage? Thickness of slab is controlled by the requirement of the fire resistance. Very important. Form work is very costly, not suitable where live load is high. Okay, so this is a type of construction. You can see these are the ribs. Okay, and thickness of the concrete topping, this one. And these are what? This is the thickness of the concrete topping, thickness of the flange, this one. This is a spandrel beam. So the as per IS 456 clause 30.5, in situ rib slabs, width of rib should not be less than 65 mm for single bar and 80 to 100 mm for 2 bar joist bar. This is a joist bar. Okay, they will provide the reinforcement like this, right? These are like a tubes they will provide, right? They will provide the tubes like this. Spacing should not be greater than the 1.5 meter. This one, this spacing should not be more than 1.5 meter joist bar spacing. So their depth should not be more than 4 times their width, excluding any topping. Topping means this one. So excluding means you have to not add here. Okay, so what is the answer for this question now? 25th question answer is, that is a B, that is the thickness of the concrete topping. Okay, I think I will stop here. So next questions we will cover in the next class. Thanks for watching all of you. Please subscribe our channel as well as like, comment and share, and join our Telegram channel Civil with Sudhir. Thank you, not all.